What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Real Word Podcast, a place where real thoughts, real ideas, and real words come to life. I'm your host, Drew, coming from San Diego, California. Thank you for stopping by, tuning in, checking out the channel. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Hit up all those links down below. And now we can get into the episode. It is December 4th, 2020. It's Friday. Welcome in to the end of the work week. If you're working, that is. That's something that I'm going to need to be doing. Or I don't want to work, but I want, do this kind of work. And other miscellaneous things, I've talked about it before, but I don't want like a regular job. If it's needed for, a year, 6 months, something like that, I'll do it, but I don't want to work a regular job, man. I want to do some of this stuff and work on my own and all that, but I just need some income coming in. Because it's a little tough right now, but what do we have going on today? Just give you a little recap over the last couple of days, what I've been getting into, what's been going on with me. Talk a little bit about Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, what's going on there. Talk a little bit about this California monolith that's been found. It seems like a few of them have been found across the world. Over the last couple of weeks or something like that. We're going to get into some of these California stay-at-home orders, some of these, California wildfires and wind. We'll get into a little bit of Padres talk as well. So should be a good one today. So I had my therapy appointment yesterday. That went pretty well. I do it every other week, every 2 weeks. And yeah, it's been good. It has been good. Trying to focus on some things that I need to clear up. And with some of my personal relationships, I kind of got to make some moves and figure some things out. And that's the plan. That's the goal, is to get those worked out and get that all figured out. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And it's not easy, but some of these things need to be done, and I will get them done, and I will get it figured out. So what else has been going on? The other evening, I should say, I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for the first time in quite a long time. I remember so this is what's a trip. Probably not the best idea, but I'm pretty sure they threw this movie on when I was in an outpatient facility for mental health. So it's kind of weird that they would throw this movie on for people who are inside like a mental health institution. That was the first time I remember seeing it, at least from what I can remember. And I remember watching like Animal Farm there as well. So just interesting stuff that they threw on inside of the mental institution. But it had been a long time since I've seen that movie. I was like in 10th grade or something like that, 10th, 11th grade, from the last time I saw it, when I was there and everything. And my brother had just recently watched it and had told me about it, and I have wanted to watch the movie again because they just came out with Ratchet on Netflix as well. And I watched a couple episodes of that, and I was like, man, I gotta go back and watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, because I remember that movie being really good, kind of intense and everything. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of, before we get into the story of Nurse Ratched, I wanted to go back and watch, the original, where it came from and all that, so that was a good movie, man. It kind of has a sad ending, kind of a happy ending. Like, it's kind of mixed, but damn, that's a good movie. This was interesting. it was brought to my attention that there's this theory out there that I don't know who did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm not exactly sure who directed it and all of that, but it seems like there could possibly be this parallel between One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining from Stanley Kubrick. Which I thought was pretty interesting when it was brought to my attention. The theory goes, from my understanding, is that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was made, and it was kind of to show that you can be nurtured into going crazy. Like, a lot of these people in the mental institute were there under their own will, and they could walk out anytime, you know. And then there were the ones who were actually admitted. But it seems like the longer that they were in, the more crazy they were, like, made to believe they were, you know. It seemed like the more time that they were in and being treated, the more crazy they were seeming to be, just due to the circumstances and the situation. And then we can tell that Jack Nicholson's character isn't crazy. He doesn't have these, like, mental health problems, but then he's made to have them. Like, they perceive his actions as a mental health problem or whatever. And then by the end, he does the shock therapy, and he basically gone, you know? Just gone. Just no remnants of who he was at the end of the movie. So it just shows, like, you can be nurtured into being crazy. And then the theory goes is that movie was made, and there's a couple of the same characters in The Shining. So Kubrick got, you know, Jack Nicholson and the guy who plays Dick Halloran, I think is his name, in The Shining. And he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well, who was trying to help, or, you know, was basically helping Jack Nicholson's character almost escape, you know, in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So anyway, let's get on to it. So Kubrick went and made The Shining with a couple of the same characters and everything, and showed that it's not nurture, it's nature that'll make you go crazy and insane. So there's kind of a few of these parallels, you know, especially with the same characters and things like that, that kind of highlight the parallels. Yeah, that's just what, like, some of the parallels between nurture versus nature. And it's been a while since I've seen The Shining, so I'd have to watch that again as well. But I just thought that theory was pretty interesting, pretty fascinating. Kubrick was like, you know, if it's true, he saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is like, I understand, but it's actually this, or it can be this instead. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. It's definitely a movie, classic movie. Both of them are, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining. But yeah, I just thought it was pretty interesting. I really did. But yeah, the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, great. I definitely recommend it. And then I went and watched a couple more episodes of Ratchet, and that's just an intense show. It's pretty crazy. Sarah Paulson is just all over Netflix and all over Hulu. She's all over any streaming service right now. She's, you know, she's really good. Don't get me wrong. She's a really good actress, and she really seems to kind of get into the characters. So it's great. I think it's great. But yeah, Nurse Ratchet. Ratchet is an intense show for sure. It really is. Pretty crazy. And what else has been going on? So over the last few days, I've been making my gift sets of candles. I just have 2 more batches to do, and then I'm completely done. I have some big lavender ones. That's all the big ones I have. And then those are about 5.7 ounces of wax altogether in a nice ball jar. It's nice. And then like 2.8 ounces of wax in the small little ball jars, the little ones. And those fragrances are candy apple, holiday hearth, which is like a really piney, just smells like Christmas, man. It really does. And then I'm gonna do for these last two batches Egyptian amber, which smells great, and then clean cotton, which is just, you know, that clean, fresh smell. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of the day. It should just take a couple hours after this. Get those candles poured and settled, and then my gift sets will be done and ready. So that'll be exciting. And then the rest will be to sell, you know. So if anybody wants some nice candles, hit me up. That's for sure. I will get them to you somehow, some way. But yeah, I enjoy making the candles. It's an easy process. It is somewhat of a little bit of a process, but it's pretty easy. And you know, you just have to pay attention to the heat, and you know, when it cools down enough, and you have to, you know, put the jars together with the wick and everything like that. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's fun. I enjoy it. Makes the house smell nice. So it's not a bad situation at all. But let's get into some of this. I'll read an article in just a minute. I just wanted to touch on both Rogan and Chappelle. They're going to be doing some comedy shows together, but I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts on each of them separately a little bit here first. So Joe Rogan is like exclusively now to Spotify, and he's putting up clips on YouTube, just little clips here or there from the guests he's been having. So it's a way to watch some of it, you know, I guess. But I don't know. Me personally, I don't use Spotify. I don't have it, and don't plan on using it. Don't plan on getting it. So I know I'm just one person, but I don't know. I feel like he could lose some viewership and some audience. But does he really care? I mean, he just signed a really big deal with Spotify, and, you know, going to be licensing it for a handful of years or something like that. I forget the exact length of time that's going to be happening. But, yeah, there goes my Joe Rogan entertainment or content, I guess. But, you know, good for him. It is good for him. I mean, I'm a little bummed because I enjoyed his podcast a lot. But yeah, I don't really mess with Spotify. I don't have it, and I don't plan on getting it. It's just one of those things I don't really care about. So, you know, it's a little bit of a bummer, but if more and more podcasts start going over there, like exclusively, then I might have to. But for now, I just don't really care about it that much, you know? So I wonder what his viewership is going to be, and listeningship, whatever you want to call it. I wonder what that's going to be, if there's going to be a significant drop-off, if there's going to be a significant increase. I guess time will just tell, and we'll see. But I know I'm not going to be watching anymore, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But it is what it is, I guess. And then, like last week, I think Dave Chappelle put out this little like 15-20 minute little special whatever on his Instagram, and he was complaining and telling us to boycott the Chappelle show because he's not getting paid for it. They didn't ask him to stream it or whatever on a couple of these platforms like HBO Max or something, and Netflix. I believe Netflix actually adhered to Dave Chappelle and actually took it down. But if you listen to his special or whatever, man, it's like he signed the contract. And it's like, you shouldn't have just been so gung-ho to sign the contract when you were so young. And you should have, I know he was saying, oh, they were all in on it or whatever. But it's like, dude, you signed the contract. And so now they have every right to use that footage and use your image and likeness in any way they see fit because you signed the contract. And then you're going to complain about it X amount of years later. And it's ridiculous. I can't stand that stuff. It's like, take your loss and fucking move on, That's what it is. It's like, you have to be smart when you're playing this game of the contracts and stuff, And I know he said he wanted to, like, make a new Chappelle show. Make a new Chappelle show. Just don't call it the Chappelle show. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but you're still a person. You can make a different show, call it a different name, and do a similar type of thing. You know what I mean? So just like, it's just frustrating because I used to love a lot of these comedians, man, growing up. I used to be like the funniest people ever, and now when I listen to them, I'm like George Carlin, Dave Chappelle. I haven't listened to Cat Williams in a while, but I'm sure he's pretty similar too. It's like all they do is just complain, and they just sound like grumpy old men, and it's like, dude, I be smarter about it. I don't know. It's like cool for Netflix, but kind of a lame move from Netflix as well for doing I don't know. I know a lot of people were like stoked about it and all that. It's like I don't get it. I don't get it. It's all a part of the contract game, and if you're not aware and you're not smart about it, then you will get screwed over. And they will try and play you, but if you don't play their games and you don't sign the contracts and you do it yourself and independent, it could take a little longer, but you will have full ownership and control over it. So it just seems like everybody was chasing the money, chasing the fame and all that back then, and they didn't really care about signing their life away, and that's where they're at now. So it's just a little frustrating, kind of. I know a lot of people loved that little 15-20 minute thing from Chappelle, and it's like, yeah, it was cool, but you did this to yourself, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm not really happy about how it was kind of handled, but I don't know. I'm not a comedian, so I don't really know. I've never been in that position, so I don't really know. I can't really talk too much about it, but I'm just giving my observation, my opinion on the situation, because it's like, sign a contract, man. And that's what it is. So that's what it is. But let's get into this. This is from Uprocks. It says Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan are doing a socially distanced residency in Texas as COVID surges in the state. Dave Chappelle's been enjoying time in Texas lately, including a 3-night comedy engagement, along with appearing on an episode of Joe Rogan's newly Austin-based Spotify podcast. They must have enjoyed the mutual vibes and perhaps mutual questionable judgment regarding live shows, because they are again joining forces for a December 2020 residency in Austin. The duo's team up will last for 5 engagements, and Chappelle will hold separate Dave Chappelle and Friends dates for a total of 10 dates. In doing so, Chappelle will return to Stubbs Waller Creek Amphitheater, an outdoor venue connected to Stubbs Barbecue Restaurant. The press release specifies a number of COVID-19 related precautions, including socially distanced tables that must be reserved by groups of only 4, 6, or 8 tickets. Masks will be required unless people are eating or drinking, and hand sanitizer stations along with staggered entry to the venue will be monitored. Safety is the top priority, is being quoted in the residency announcement, but of course any group event, even with declared social distancing amid skyrocketing cases is probably not the wisest move. Here are those dates. Yeah, so they're December 8th, 9th, 11th, 15th, and 16th. And then Chappelle's only show, Chappelle and Friends, is the 12th, 13th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it's just funny how they're like, oh, it's questionable, and but dude, they need to live too, and they're providing jobs for other people, for the comedy workers, the staff, the restaurant. So it's like they're providing jobs, instead of being stuck, locked down. They're actually doing something to help the community and help the area. But people only say, oh my gosh, the rise in cases, and oh my god, I've said this for so long, I don't give a fuck about the case numbers, dude. It's like, I saw this one thing. It's like one person who's not even positive of the coronavirus, of COVID-19, can get tested, have a false positive, that's a case, go in, get tested again, have another false positive, can have like 4 or 5 positive cases from one person, and they all turn out to be false positives, and they don't even have it, so of course the case numbers are going to be going crazy the more people are tested. But these tests are very unreliable and not accurate. So yeah, like I said, you could have one person count as 5 cases. So how is that okay? And they're not even positive, That's why it's like, I don't give a fuck about the case numbers, man. It's like, and that's what they keep pushing on the media is cases keep rising. It's like, I don't really care. You can have 2 people and 10 cases without even being truly positive, So it's like, I really don't care about the case numbers one bit. And then they try and throw in COVID related deaths, and it's like, that can be anything. Somebody who's on their last limb with cancer, and then they happen to have COVID in their blood as well. It could be asymptomatic, have no symptoms, but then they'll die of the cancer, but then they'll say, oh, it's a COVID related death, because they just happen to have it. It could be completely asymptomatic though, and not even be showing any complications with COVID, but they got to mark it. And that's why it's like, I don't really care about these death numbers either. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's like, and then I read this thing saying like, in Japan in October, suicide deaths accounted for more. There was more suicide deaths in the month of October than all of the pandemic, of the COVID-19 pandemic deaths. So it's like, that is a very serious issue. Do those lives not matter? Are we not worried about those people who are, committing suicide, or who are on the verge of losing everything and like seeing suicide as the only option? It's like, do those lives not matter? Like, how are we segregating which lives matter and which lives don't? Because I'm seeing a lot more negative impact from keeping us locked down and doing these guidelines that we're supposed to be adhering to, causing more trouble than good. It's like, we are not getting better. You look at other countries who have far less strict lockdown measures and things like that, and who didn't shut down and kept business open, and we're seeing like positive things come out of those countries and those places. And the places who have been locked down the heaviest and who have had the most strict rules and regulations are doing the worst. So it's like, are the lockdowns even working? And do the masks even help? Like, does any of this really work? It doesn't look like it. It really doesn't. It seems like they're just trying to make things up as they go, and trying to just kind of have more power and control over us, and just see what they can get away with. And it's a little frustrating. It really is. But shout out to Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan for, doing their thing. They're going to be doing some shows in Texas, so get out there, go watch them if you can. Again, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I might not agree with everything that either one of those guys say, but it's like I still respect them, and I still respect the hustle. I still respect that they're getting out there and doing it, providing some relief for the community, plus also stimulating some jobs and things like that. So shout out to both those guys for, going against the grain and, going to be doing some shows. And I know Rogan is planning on starting a comedy club out there in Austin, and I think that would be a great idea, and I'm sure it would do great. So shout out to both of those guys, and they gotta just continue to keep on working. Gotta keep on working. Don't let these politicians and governors and things like that just control your life like that. It's like you have to take control over your own life, and there's a lot more positive that they're doing than the negative that's being pushed on all of us. So that's what it is. This is from Newsmax. Shout out to Newsmax. They've been, gaining a lot of popularity since the election. Like I said before, I found them through just trying to find some live stream election news, live election updates when that was going on, and yeah, just happened to find them on YouTube, and I've been watching them a little bit ever since. And it's like right away, I knew they were definitely a conservative, right-leaning broadcast, but they try and just present facts and the truth. At least from my understanding, it's like I haven't seen anything wrong with what they've been reporting on and presenting, and they were like one of the last ones to say that Biden was the projected winner. I don't even know if they said that Biden was a projected winner. I thought I read something about that a week ago or so, but they're still, on Trump's side, wanting Trump to win and all of that. And so you could see the bias, but when they come to the reporting and the news and the facts, it's like they're just doing that. But this is California monolith pops up after finds in Utah and Romania. Days after the discovery and swift disappearance of two shining metal monoliths, half a world apart, another towering structure has popped up, then quickly vanished, this time from the pinnacle of a trail in California. After photos were posted on social media, the tall silver metallic structure drew hikers to the top of the Pine Mountain Trail in Atascadero? I don't know, man. I don't know. Park, halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles. The three-sided, 10-foot tall, 200-pound monolith was similar to two others discovered recently in the Utah desert and in Romania. Like those structures, the origin of the California edifice is also unknown, but by Thursday, the California monolith had vanished, apparently torn down by a group of young men that traveled 5 hours from farther south to remove it. The city of Atascadero, god damn, I don't know how to say these names, man, said in a Facebook post. Video posted online showed a group of young men wearing night vision goggles toppling what appears to be the monolith before dawn while chanting "Christ is King" and "America First." One man also was heard saying to the camera, "We don't want illegal aliens from Mexico or outer space." The men replaced the structure with a wooden cross, which also disappeared. All that was left Thursday of the monolith were a few pieces of supporting rebar. Police were reviewing the video. The Tribune of the San Luis Obispo County reported the destruction wasn't appreciated by locals. Quote, "We are upset that these young men felt the need to drive 5 hours to come into our community and vandalize the monolith," Mayor Heather Moreno said in a press release. The monolith was something unique and fun in an otherwise stressful time. How is it fun? Don't know where it's coming from. Bummer, Matt Carteret, a gravedigger at a nearby cemetery, told the San Francisco Chronicle he had planned to hike up to see the structure. It's too bad it's gone, he said. People were real excited about it. Anything that gets people excited is a good thing. I don't think that's true at all, but okay. Another monolith spotted 2 weeks ago in Utah's otherworldly Red Rock country became a beacon of fascination around the world as it is evoked the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey and drew hundreds of people to the remote spot. Two extreme sports athletes said they were a part of the group that tore down the hollow metal structure because they were worried about the damage the droves of visitors were causing to the relatively untouched spot. Officials said the visitors flattened plants with their cars and left behind human waste. Well, that's not good, see? A structure that appeared last week in Romania is also gone. The Utah creation evoked famous land art pieces that dot the West. Robert Smithson's spiral jetty is an earthwork along the Great Salt Lake, and Nancy Holt's sun tunnels are huge concrete pieces in the desert. Like those pieces, the monolith was fascinating in part because of its context in the landscape, said Whitney Tassi, a curator of modern and contemporary art at the Utah Museum of Fine Art. That's a big part of land art in general, is the idea of an experience, of a journey, she said. The intense social media reaction to the monolith against the backdrop of the punishing pandemic, along with the quick disappearance of the piece, has become part of its story, she said. Police have said the dismantling may not be illegal since no one has claimed the structure as their property. The still anonymous creator of the Utah monument did not follow steps taken by land artists of the 1970s to secure permission to make their works. Visitation to those remote sites is now managed and overseen to avoid too much stress on the environment. Federal and state officials in Utah had also expressed concern about the area around the monolith being overrun. Quote, "It's good to think about our relationship with the earth, which is ultimately what these sorts of projects do," Tassi said. Man's impact on the environment front and center. So that's interesting stuff, man. It really is. It's like, who's doing these and what's the purpose behind it? But I didn't like that quote. Oh, anything that excites the people is a good thing. It's like, that is definitely not true. People get excited about murder, and is that okay? I wouldn't think so, man. I would not think that that would be okay, you know? So, gotta be careful with what you say, because just because it's exciting does not mean it's a good thing. You know? So, what else is going on? This is from The Guardian. It says California plans sweeping stay-at-home orders as COVID cases surge. So here we go. Get into those surging COVID cases that I don't care about at all. But I do care about these lockdowns and these stay-at-home orders. Like, this is not okay. All right. California has unveiled plans to issue regional stay-at-home orders for areas in the state where the intensive care units are expected to fall below a capacity of 15%, with the vast majority of the state expected to meet that criteria within the next few days. Gavin Newsom, California's governor, announced the new restrictions on Thursday as cases in the state reached the highest reported since the pandemic began. Quote, "The bottom line is, if we don't act now, our hospital system will be overwhelmed," Newsom said. If we don't act now, our death rate will continue to climb. The state has been divided into 4 regions: Northern California, the Bay Area, the Greater Sacramento area, Southern California, and the San Joaquin Valley. Every region but the Bay Area is expected to reach an available ICU capacity of below 15% within the next 2 days, Newsom said. The Bay Area should reach that point by mid-December. The new stay-at-home order will include restrictions on businesses and gathering spaces, no salons, no gyms, no indoor worship, no playgrounds. Restaurants will be allowed to offer only takeout or delivery. Retail that is already limited to 20% will be allowed to remain open, but all non-essential travel is restricted. Newsom acknowledged that the order will be the most restrictive since the original stay-at-home order in March. Quote, "This is the most challenging moment since the start of the pandemic," he said at a news conference. The nation's most popular state has been battling to bring a surge in the new COVID cases under control. The state reported 18,591 new cases in the last 24 hours, bringing the daily average to 15,121. On the 2nd of November, the state reported just 14 COVID-related deaths. 1 month later, the state saw 113 deaths. Again, this is the COVID-related. This could have nothing really to do with COVID, and they're just attributing it to that. So just be aware of that. When listening to these numbers, just be aware that 5 cases could be to one person. And just be aware that somebody could get shot in the face from a shotgun or something like that, die, and then marked as a COVID death. Get in a car accident and marked as a COVID-related death. So just remember these things when we're going over these, okay? Overall, California has reported more than 1.2 million cases and more than 19,400 deaths. Meanwhile, hospitals are under increasing pressure as virus hospitalizations have nearly quadrupled since mid-October. Admissions have risen 86% in the last 14 days. Newsom said, "Lives are in the balance. Lives will be lost unless we do more than we've done. We are being called to do everything in our power to make the kind of tough decisions that are required to get through the next 4 months. We will enjoy the other side of this." Will we? Or will more people begin to take their lives because they're being locked down and their livelihoods are being destroyed? Will we get through the other side of this? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it, because it seems like you guys just keep pushing the goalposts back. Almost just a couple months until we're from the point of just 15 days to slow the spread, to help the hospital system, and now we're back to square one. It's like, are you kidding me? What a joke this all is, man. Seriously, such a joke. The new restrictions come one day after the Los Angeles mayor warned his city was nearing a devastating tipping point and ordered residents to stay in their homes and avoid social gatherings. The city's restrictions mirror county-wide guidelines and limit nearly all social gatherings of people from more than a single household. People may lawfully leave homes to engage in exempted activities like healthcare operations, supermarkets, and restaurants, the directive said. The guidelines also exempt religious services and protests protected by the Constitution. Our city is now close to a devastating tipping point beyond which the number of hospitalized patients would start to overwhelm our hospital systems, in turn risking needless suffering and death, said Mayor Eric Garcetti late on Wednesday. Los Angeles is the second largest city in the U.S. with a population of over 3.9 million. Los Angeles County, which is home to the city, has recorded 414,185 infectious and a death toll of 7,740, according to LA Public Health, and the region has seen hospitalizations rise sharply in the past few weeks. Los Angeles County last week imposed a 3-week end to outdoor dining and issued a broader stay-at-home order taking effect on Monday. The head of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, warned on Wednesday that COVID-19 pandemic has continued to rage across the U.S. and that the country faced its grimmest health crisis yet over the next few months. Before vaccines become widely available, more than 270,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 to date. And I don't believe that one bit. But, what can you do? They're just, like I said, anything could be deemed a COVID-related death, and that's how they manipulate the numbers. People don't even have to be symptomatic, and they can still be marked as a COVID death, and that's just not okay. The new rules come as the U.S. hits record COVID deaths and hospitalizations, yet the months-long pandemic has also brought COVID fatigue that has made new restrictions hard to swallow. Newsom and San Francisco's Mayor London Breed have faced criticism for flouting their own guidelines to dine at the luxurious French Laundry restaurant. Exactly. These are just all hypocritical people. they make the rules and the guidelines, but then they can't even follow them themselves, you know. And like, I guarantee a lot of their kids, if they have any, are in private school and still able to go to in-class and in-person learning, so they're not falling behind, while the rest of us, you know, who do have kids, and they're struggling with to keep up socially and you know, with their schooling as well. You know, they're getting more and more left behind and not able to, yeah, just not able to keep up with the curriculum at home. You know, it's not okay. Like, this is gonna be proven to show like a real setback for education and this generation of people, you know. It's not good. It's not looking good at all. Newsom acknowledged the difficulty in following the rules, but urged people to stay vigilant, promising the worst is almost over and a vaccine is in sight. California will receive 327,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine by mid-December, and the state is finalizing its plan for who will receive the initial doses, he announced. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We are a few months away from seeing real progress. Newsom said, we do not anticipate having to do this once again, but we all need to step up and we need to meet this moment head on and do everything we can to stem the tide, bend the curve, and do everything we can necessary to get that vaccine into the hands of every Californian in the state. I mean, I'm definitely not taking it, but yeah, if you want to take it, whatever, that's up to you, but you cannot force us to take it. And yeah, this is the same stuff. Bend the curve, flatten the curve, 15 days to slow the spread. It's like, this is all the same stuff that they've been talking about early on. We did that, and we're still here. So what is gonna be the difference this time around? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But that's the game that they're playing, you know. That is the game that they are playing. So let's move on to this more, you know, authoritarian type actions being taken, and this time it's from the power companies, SDG&E. You know, they've done it before and they keep doing it. It's like here in San Diego, we have these pretty bad Santa Ana winds. Yesterday we had a handful of fires. One of them was pretty close to me here in San Marcos, and they got it taken care of, under control. It could have been pretty bad, but I think all the fires that popped up yesterday were kind of under control and taken care of. So that's a good thing. You know, it seems like this fire season, the Santa Ana, is a little late into the season. Normally we get it in mid-October or so. I don't remember December fires in Santa Ana's happening, but you know, I might not have been paying too much attention over the last previous years, but I do always remember them being in October. But yeah, SDG&E, they just always put out the power. They have the power to take out the power, which is just insane. This is from NBC San Diego, and it says, roll with the punches. Businesses adjust as SDG&E cuts power to tens of thousands. It's like, yeah, this them pulling the power or the power going out, whatever, definitely affected my mom's business. She works every day, Monday through Friday. She was at home yesterday because there was no power, and a lot of her employees couldn't work because they need power. So, you know, it really affects businesses. It affects everything. So let's just get into it. It says stoplights were out, businesses were closed. There wasn't any power for tens of thousands of people in San Diego County on Thursday. The wind was too strong, and San Diego Gas and Electric, or SDG&E, shut off the power as a precaution, starting with about 20,000 customers Wednesday evening. By Thursday morning, more than 72,000 customers were without power, and several East County schools had to cancel classes as a result. The company initiates shutoffs when gusty winds have the potential to knock down power lines. A charged power line could start a wildfire. Unfortunately, it's just another day, said animal caregivers Chris Haynes outside the San Diego Humane Society's Escondido campus. Hey, that's where we got my girl from. My Amelia girl. We got her from the San Diego Humane Society Escondido campus. So shout out to them. We got my dog on the Clear the Shelter day, and she's been with us for like 5 years now, something like that. Somewhere 5, 6 years. But I remember when we went there and got her, she wasn't the first choice, but we did an interaction with one of these other dogs, and there wasn't really that connection there. And me and my brother had went to that the day before the Clear the Shelter day. We went to that shelter a day before, and I remember seeing the dog we ended up getting, and she was like jumping up in her kennel like super high. I was like, oh my gosh, pretty crazy, jumping super high. So the next day we went, had an interaction with this one dog, and then it just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't it. So we went and got her, the one who was jumping all crazy, and she immediately showed a lot of affection, and you could tell she just wanted to be taken home. And she was a little bit of a handful, not gonna lie. She still is, but she's a great girl. I love her so much. Let's continue. Haynes spoke to NBC 7 off the campus because the power shutdown meant the animal shelter couldn't open the electric gate to let people park inside. Yeah. Let's just, it says, we recognize losing power is disruptive, and we sincerely thank our customers for their patience and understanding. For the latest information about outages and current conditions, please visit sdgandE.com/ready. SDG&E said. Oh man, I am struggling right here. I got to use the restroom, so I don't even know if I am gonna be making it through the rest of this, but I'll try and get through this real quick. It's from ESPN.com. San Diego Padres reached deal with Matt Strahm, tender 5 others. The San Diego Padres agreed to a $2.05 million one-year contract with left-hander reliever Matt Strahm on Wednesday. They also tendered contracts to their 5 remaining arbitration-eligible players, outfielder Tommy Pham and right-handers Dan Altavilla, Zach Davies, Dinelson Lamet, and Emilio Pagan. Strahm was 0-1 with a 2.61 ERA and 19 appearances in the pandemic-shortened 2020 season, in which the Padres ended a 14-year playoff drought. Pham, whose regular season was interrupted by a hand injury, hit 211 with 3 homers. He was stabbed outside of San Diego's Gentleman Club in October and has sued the establishment. The Padres did not tender a contract to infielder Greg Garcia, who grew up in suburban El Cajon and is grandson of the late Dave Garcia, who managed the Indians and Angels. So that is the Padres news. I got to get on out of here. I got to go. I appreciate you stopping by, tuning in. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, everybody, peace.